So, in my continuing quest to make fun of a doddering, brain-damaged old man as much as possible, we're going to watch another Jordan Peterson clip. This one he posted to his YouTube page called "Why Should You Go to Church?" And I have not seen this, but I am fascinated by it. And hey, the rise of religiosity in America and Christofash kind of rhetoric leads me to believe that it's time to engage in edgy internet atheist mode. Even though I'm not really an edgy internet atheist, or really an atheist at all. I'm a apatheist. I just don't give a shit. But let's watch it. Let's see what he has to say.
Why do people go to church? Right, because that's what's going on.
Well, and why should they?
Right.
Because that's a discussion. So Jonathan took me to an Orthodox ceremony in Seattle, and I wasn't into it. I found it grated on me.
You're like a 10-year-old boy that we're telling to stop moving.
Yeah, that's right. So that was my Freudian fixations. Like, you're 10.
Stop wiggling.
Yeah, stop wiggling. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. But, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, man. And I went to an Orthodox mass here a couple of weeks ago, and I found it and a Catholic one a week before that. I was down at Franciscan University, and I found it unbelievably soothing.
What happened in between those? His first foray to orthodoxy, and then time passes. What happened in between that? Well, let's see. He jumped onto a money grift. He embraced right-wing rhetoric, cast aside pretty much every single value of individual expression, notions of freedom. He also put himself into a chemically induced coma so that he could cowardly not have to go through withdrawal symptoms of a drug addiction of his own making. Probably got some brain damage from that. And post-brain damage, now he finds religion to be wonderful. That's if ever there was a clear example of the state of the faithful, it might just be that.
Which is very much unlike the reactions I've had before. And that was partly, for complicated reasons, because I actually find any place that isn't a bloody nightmarish catastrophe soothing now. And so, I mean that, man. But there was more to it than that, too. It was because I also...
Oh, we've got a Jordan Peterson fan in the chat. Well, stick around, man. There ain't no brakes on this fucking train. Here we go.
Did develop, and partly as a consequence of our discussions, a deeper appreciation for what was happening in the ritual itself, and also more tolerance for whatever inadequacies I might perceive. And partly that's also a realization. Lots of modern people say, "Well, I don't go to church because I don't believe that." It's like, well, who cares what you believe? Like, who the hell are you, anyways?
Well, if they don't believe in the religion, then why would they go to the church that is spreading their religion? I mean, it's a fascinating thing too, because I'm curious if he's going to get into values, because that is largely his talking point when it comes to religion. And I would say that most people, whether they're religious or not, share about 90% of the same values as everybody else. Whether you're right or you're left or whatever. But why would you take time out of your day, out of your life, our most precious resource, to attend something that is saying something that you don't believe? That is very weird. And his response to that is, "Well, who the hell do you think you are?" What? They're a person making their own fucking decisions. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. This is
and why do you even care what you believe? And how's that working for you? This belief set that you theoretically have. How sophisticated is that? Like, are you Plato or what? It's like, well, here's the church and here's me and I'm right. It's like, well, no, you're not.
This is an incredible straw man. Holy shit. What the fuck? This random person that this villain he's making up in his mind, just because somebody's like, "I don't believe that, so I don't go to church." And they have to be like this fucking this massive pompous piece of shit, because that's what he has to argue against. This is wild, man.
And first and second, you don't even want to be, because that's a great place to be. Like pinnacle of brilliant wisdom. It's completely solipsistic. No tradition for me, thank you very much.
Not being religious does not mean you are anti-tradition. Sorry.
I've got it all right in my head. And even if you are right that the bloody institution is chaotic and decadent in some fundamental sense, it's like, well, good. There's something for you to do. Like there always has been throughout the entire history of mankind, because that's Osiris, right? The once great king who's fallen into disrepair. It's like, well, if the church is broken and you're the genius to see it, why don't you go fix it? Well, then you might.
This is also very strange. Why would somebody who say they don't believe in that religion, or they just don't even believe in God, why would they get involved in trying to repair something that's sole purpose is to spread their interpretation of what they believe is said and passed down from their magic sky leopard? Like, why would they bother that? What? This is inane.
Say, well, we'll just abandon it. It's like, okay, well, fine. You're going to get rid of that, eh? You're going to get rid of marriage. You're going to get rid of funerals. You're going to get rid of...
Marriage existed way, way, way before fucking religion. So did funerals. If you want to put any kind of like spiritualistic aspect into any of these things, well, I don't think marriage would constitute at all. Religion didn't make marriage. That's fucking ridiculous. And marriage also originally had nothing to do with some sacred union. It had to do with property. But also, as far as funerary, I mean, that goes back to like the basic concepts of animism before anything regarding like a mainstream religion. And you can just have a feeling of connection and loss towards a loved one and wanting to pay respect to them without having to go through some ritualistic method specifically dictated by a religion that is a loose interpretation of words that were written by a person that they claimed came from magic. Like, no, dude, shut the fuck up.
At Christmas, you're going to get rid of any sense of sacred time. You're going to dispense with the whole history of what Judeo-Christian thought.
No. You can accept advances without having to accept the mysticism surrounding it. Sorry, no.
You're going to dispense with the idea of the sacred nature of the individual. Like,
no?
How far are you willing to go with this? And believe me, that question is right in front of you, because there's a wave of radicals who are asking you at every moment, what makes you so sure that there's a difference between a man and a woman? Like, no, there isn't.
What?
Or the yes, there is when we want there to be, and no, there isn't when we don't want there to be. You saw that with the Supreme Court appointment. It's like, we have to have a woman, but there's no such thing as a woman. It's like...
Okay, first of all, I would make the argument that it is actually imperative to the very nature of how we need to have a governance in a country to have one of its highest courts, or actually the highest court, be in some ways representative of the people. And there are more women than there are men in the United States. At least half the justices should be women. Yeah, I think so. 100%. Yeah. I mean, is that affirmative action? I don't fucking care. Shut the fuck up. We're talking about representative democracy. Simple as that. Don't bring any fucking buzzword kind of like, stupid social bullshit into it. Like, it's very, very simple. But as far as the notion when Ketanji Jackson Brown, I believe is her name. I think so. The whole not wanting to answer the question of what is a woman. Also, what does this have to do with religion? Just what the fuck? Was because it was a gotcha question. And she just wasn't going to fucking play. That's it.
And so, yeah, you Frenchmen, you've abandoned your Catholicism. You think the Catholics, they were crazy. It's like, you ain't seen nothing yet. And so I believe, and Jung kind of convinced me of that. He more or less posited, and you could say the same thing about Orthodox. He said, Catholic is as sane as people ever get. And that's partly because we have to have one foot in the dream.
Hey, I tell you what, Jordan Peterson fan in the chat. So we're recording a segment right now. We're over halfway done. If you would like to debate me on on everything I just said about Jordan Peterson, go to my Discord. I will talk to you as soon as we're done. I would love to hear your take on it and why I'm getting Jordan Peterson wrong. You have an open invitation.
And the mystery. We have to. You know, when I heard Douglas Murray speak recently about this, that was very interesting because Murray is an atheist, essentially, and he has a variety of reasons for that. But he has swung around hard recently, and he said when he was
Yeah, it's where the money is. But
talking to Dave Rubin, he said, I don't believe that either conservatism or classic liberalism can survive in the absence of the religious surround, which was really something for him to admit. And it's like taken him like 5 years of thinking to come to that conclusion. But then
that's true, because they need to maintain some degree of base and power system. And one of the largest economic forces that influences our politics are evangelical groups, not Catholic. Catholics tend to be a lot softer on this stuff. Not Protestant. Not any regular, organically grown facet of Christianity has as much political, monetary power as evangelicals. That's where the money is. That's what's actually paying a lot of these fucking dickbags, including Jordan, and is pushing this rather disastrous, backwards-ass mentality in our politics these days. Evangelicals. They don't have the numbers as far as their group, but they have the numbers in money, and that's political power and leverage.
he said something even more remarkable, I thought, and he said, and it's actually the mysterious part of it that has to be retained. The virgin birth, the resurrection, the crucifixion, all of that crazy mythology, let's say, because otherwise it just degenerates into another form of cheap social justice. And like, don't we have enough of that? And I think that's...
So when you remove all of the magic, then they have just the teachings of Jesus, which is pretty social justice-y, actually. Yeah. I mean, I swear to God, dude, like, this is the thing that's been driving me crazy for a fucking while. And I know lots of Christians that are friends of mine that they are very progressive. And it's because they actually look at the ideas, the conceptual Jesus and how he conducted himself. And they think that that's a really good way to live their life by. Not the rules of the church, but the teachings of the Christ figure, which is one of tolerance and equality and justice. But they don't like that. That's the problem, is mainstream religion doesn't actually like Jesus. They don't. They use Jesus like a fucking bludgeon. And they don't teach anything about like what he stood for.
Now, I don't know what to make of that because, well, and that's why we have discussion continually about what would you say? Well, the transcendent, I suppose, the miraculous, the transcendent, the idea of the resurrection, for example, and all of that. It's like, well, what do you do with that? And the answer is, we don't know, but we don't throw it out without having some sense of what's going to come in to replace it. And we're seeing that now. You know, look at us. We're so confused. No bloody wonder the Russians are at war with us. It's like, we're not having anything to do with those people. They simultaneously proclaim that a woman is absolutely necessary for the highest position in the land, or one of them, and that the same person says, well, I don't even know what a woman is. It's like, well, are those people insane? It's like, clearly, that...
This is just like mushmouth fucking rhetoric. I'm sorry, but this makes absolutely no sense. The entirety of this is solely to try and catch on to one little bit of gotcha, which is exactly what it was fucking designed for, in those hearings, so that they can then cast doubt. This has nothing to do with religion at all. Not at all. And they're worried about, well, if we can, like, it will replace religion with what? One of the worst things in the world is when somebody conflates the idea of faith with an obligation to an orthodoxy. The orthodoxy in and of itself is inherently flawed. Always. Always, always, always. But someone's individual faith is their own, and it's also not anybody else's business. But that doesn't serve them politically, which is why they don't talk about it that way. religion is a weapon to people like Jordan.
That's just way too far, right? Like when I talk to my Democrat friends, I say, look, you can have one of those. You know, there's either no distinction between a man and a woman, or it's important that a woman's on the Supreme Court, but there's no bloody way I'm giving you both. So, because I don't even know how to do that. I have no idea how to do that. Like, what am I supposed to do? Celebrate womanhood and simultaneously celebrate the fact that the differences between men and women are so trivial that they're irrelevant and they can be changed at whim.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? I mean, like, the thing is that we're talking about a percentage game here. The concept of womanhood is not under threat at all. 1%, less than 1% of the population of the United States breaking the convention of the binary is not going to erase women or womanhood or whatever. It's an adaptation of speech so that we at least be a little bit more respectful, and it costs us fucking nothing. Zero. There's no cost. There's no cost at all. But the thing is that Jordan doesn't care about that because he feels like he's personally insulted by it. It's the same problem with like J.K. Rowling. You know, these people are just hateful old fucks.
That is insane. It violates the law of non-contradiction. And so there's no, you think religious people are crazy.
They can be. They don't have to be. I would say the thing is, and you know, we have some people in the chat here, progressive Christians. I'm cool with that. I mean, I say I'm an apatheist. I don't really care about whether there's a God or not, and that's true. And I mean, you can classify me as an atheist, and that's fine too. I don't care. But like, I think Jesus is pretty fucking cool. The concept, you know, what you learn about him. You know, I've read the Bible all the way through 3 fucking times. I almost got my catechism. Like, I was very religious growing up, and I'm turned off of religion. But Jesus was a pretty cool fucking figure. And I think that there are good values that are taught in that story. That's fine. In no way, now I can get that value from that mythology without having to live my life bending the ways that I feel to make sure I follow a rigid set of orthodoxy and rules. I feel that that would be a disservice to me, so I choose not to. But Jordan is just going to continually try and argue that because we are losing our religion or something, which is why these woke post-industrial Marxist deal, blah, 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 are like ruining the fucking world. And honestly, if the world is so fucking fragile that the mere existence of trans people can destroy it, maybe the world doesn't actually deserve to continue, okay? Just saying. You know, we're not big on weakness here. Jordan Peterson is a fragile fucking snowflake.